Hello everyone, this is Saumya Grover, Assistant Professor, Jagannath University, Jaipur. We'll start with the Unit 4, which is Classification of Newspaper. Before we start with the classification of newspaper, the unit, let us discuss about the print media, which we have already taken in detail in the last unit. The written word is still the most respected means of communication. It is dependable, durable, and convenient to use and easy for reference purposes. Print media channels for mass communication are newspapers, magazines, trade journals, textbooks, paperbacks, posters, leaflets, direct mail, literature, and graphics, and written material of various types that appear on the small or wide screens. Of these, the newspapers, magazines, textbooks, and paperbacks are most extensively used media for mass communication. Newspapers and magazines, among all the mass media, have more freedom. What is reported in these media is considered credulous. India is one of the top 10 producers of newspaper and magazines and one of the leading publishers of books in the English language. Despite that, the diffusion rate of newspaper in India falls below the minimum norm of UNESCO of 100 copies per 1,000 people. Besides, some media reviewers feel that newspaper and magazine in India are ignoring their social respectability. Newspaper and magazines are still clinging to their age-old adversary role that are not becoming constructive critics as suggested by the Second Press Commission. Despite the changing scenario in the world, the Indian newspapers are continuing to concentrate on reporting the political news and the negative news instead of focusing on the depth reporting and specialized reporting. Most of the newspapers depend on the news agencies and the press releases or press conferences of the VIPs for stories. Notwithstanding these weaknesses, new photo composing and printing technologies have given color and gloss to the print media. They have also added to the ability of influencing public opinion. However, these costly technologies have led to the concentration of power and authority among the publishers. A new contract journalism has developed and a few eminent deviant editors have been found. This indicates that the status of the editors and the independence of the press are on the way. Whatever be the weak points of the print media at present, the future of the print media is not dim. This is so because the role of the print media is vital in guiding the policy makers and the opinion leaders. The language journalism acts as a torchbearer in the rural and backward areas. The need is to provide depth and specialized reporting, incisive analysis of current, national and international events. It is publication devoted chiefly to collecting and presenting news and characteristics of print media, commenting on the current developments. It is generally printed on coarse paper called newsprint. It appears in two sizes, broadsheet and tablet. A standard size newspaper has pages that measure about 38 by 58 cms or about 15 by 23 inches. The pages of a tabloid are about half of that size. The three main kinds of newspapers are daily newspapers, periodicals or magazines of various periodicity, and special interest newspapers. A magazine is a collection of articles, features, or stories published at regular intervals. It provides a wide variety of information, opinion, and entertainment. Trade magazines, a specialized magazine, will appeal to the special interest of business, industrial, and professional good. A poster is a printed sheet of paper with a message pasted on a wall, bold or framed with glue. Leaflet. A printed sheet, small in size and distributed by hand. Direct mail. Messages in some written, printed or processed form that are sent by controlled circulation direct to selected individuals. Block. In letterpress printing, a block is the attached copper or zinc plate mounted on wood or metal from which an illustration or text is reproduced. Cropping, trimming or masking a photograph or artwork so that the size and details are in line with the requirement. Electronic page composition makeup system is a series of interline computers based on color scanners used to assemble and correct color images. Classification of the newspaper, types of newspapers. Newspapers can be classified based on various factors including their content, readership, frequency of publication, and distribution. Here are some common classifications of newspaper. Broadsheet. Broadsheet newspapers are characterized by their larger format, typically measuring around 22 by 30 inches. They often have a more serious and in-depth approach to news with a focus on politics, business, and current affairs. Broadsheets are commonly associated with established and respected newspapers. Tabloid newspapers have a smaller format, usually measuring around 11 by 17 inches. They tend to have more sensational and attention-grabbing headlines and a greater emphasis on celebrity gossip, entertainment news, and human interest stories. Tabloids often have a more casual writing style and may include more visuals. Content-wise, newspapers could be classified as a political newspaper and economic newspaper. Region-wise, the newspapers could be classified as the newspapers could be classified as national newspapers, city newspapers, and local newspapers. Based on the time of release, the newspapers are classified as morning newspapers, afternoon newspapers, and evening newspapers. The normal newspaper size is technically called a broadsheet. Most modern newspapers are in two sizes, broadsheet and tabloid. On the basis of content, political and economical, on the basis of region, national, city and local, on the basis of time of release, morning, afternoon and evening, on the basis of size, broadsheet and tabular. So in total, we can classify the newspapers on 10 different classifications. Let's read about them in detail. Content-wise, newspapers could be classified as political newspapers like Hindustan Times and Times of India, economic newspapers like Business Standards and Economic Times. Almost all general newspapers are obsessed with politics, which forms their staple diet. Crime comes a close second after politics. It is followed by sports and business and commerce. Economic newspapers give greater coverage to business and financial news to cater to the managerial or entrepreneurial class of readership. Region-wise, the newspapers can be classified as national newspapers, city newspapers, and local newspapers. With the coming of television, many national newspapers in the US began to focus on one city, covering it extensively to capture the market. And the result was each city has one major newspaper and a competitor, and just a couple of newspapers that could be called national. It is happening in India too. Many newspapers have got dozens and dozens of editions. Some Hindi newspapers and other regional newspapers like Enadu in Andhra Pradesh have started editions at even small cities and towns. Now, Bharat Times and Indian Express are examples of national newspapers. Rising Kashmir, Delhi Times, Mumbai Mirror are examples of city newspapers. Rohini News, Mumbai Samachar, Northeast Mail are some examples of local newspapers. Based on the time of release, the newspapers are classified as morning newspapers, afternoon newspapers, and evening newspapers. In India, the concept of an evening newspaper is not popular, and in the afternoon we have the tabloids denoting the size of the newspaper, which is half that of regular newspaper. The normal newspaper size is technically called a broadsheet. Morning newspapers like Dainik Bhaskar, Pioneer, Hindustan Times Afternoon newspapers can be said as the afternoon voice, midday, and the daily news. Evening newspapers like Tamil Murasu, the News Today, Good Evening are some of the examples of newspapers which are classified on the basis of time of release. The Tribune newspaper, Hindustan Times or the Sunday Times can be classified as a broadsheet, which is technically in size 23.5 by 15 inches. A tabloid is actually half of a broadsheet. It is 15 by 11.5 inches with 4 columns. The Afternoon Dispatch and the Mail Today are examples of tabloids. In India, the concept of an evening newspaper is not popular, and in the afternoon we have tabloids denoting the size of the newspaper. To compete with the big newspapers and sell more, the tabloids indulge in sensational journalism and sometimes display semi-nude pictures, which is not in keeping with good newspaper practices. Except these, there are few other classifications of the newspapers which are done. Specialized or niche newspapers. These newspapers cater to specific interests or sectors of the population. Examples include newspapers dedicated to sports, business, finance, technology, health, and lifestyle. Specialized newspapers provide in-depth coverage and analysis within their respective domains. Daily, weekly, or periodical newspapers can be classified on their frequency of publications. Daily newspapers are published on a daily basis, providing up-to-date news and current affairs coverage. Weekly newspapers are published once a week, offering a more comprehensive analysis of news and events. Periodical newspapers may be published less frequently, such as monthly or quarterly, and often focus on specific topics or themes. Online newspapers. With the advent of the internet, many newspapers have established online versions or have transitioned to online-only formats. Online newspapers provide news content in digital formats, accessible through websites, mobile apps, and other digital platforms. They often provide multimedia content, interactive features, and real-time updates. It's worth noting that these classifications are mutually exclusive and many newspapers may exhibit characteristics of multiple categories. Additionally, the newspaper landscape is dynamic and newspapers may evolve or adapt their formats and content strategies over time to meet the changing needs and preferences of their readers. Difference between a newspaper and a magazine. Newspapers and magazines are both forms of print media, but they differ in several key aspects including content, format, frequency, and target audience. Here are some of the main differences between newspapers and magazines. Magazines are not published daily like newspapers. Periodicity of magazines are longer than that of normal newspapers. In general, they are published weekly, bi-weekly or monthly. Unlike loose sheets of newspapers, magazines are produced as bound volumes. Serious reading for information gathering as in case of books and newspaper. Most of the magazines are meant for light reading and mainly for entertainment. Magazines contain diverse content ranging from poems to comics and cartoons to photo features. Magazines most often than not target special segmented audience, while newspapers are for general readers. Magazines generally focus on special areas like culture, politics, current affairs, health, wealth, women's and children's life. Magazines printed in high quality papers as they are to be used for a longer period. Newspapers are printed using cheap newsprints as they are meant only for one day use. Normally, magazines do not have different editions as in the case of newspapers. They have only one print cycle, except for some international news and financial magazines like Newsweek, Time, Forbes, and Fortune, which publish various regional editions for Asia, Africa, etc. Magazines provide room for in-depth analysis and criticism as the publishers get more time for preparation. At last, magazines are very easy to preserve than a newspaper. Content. Newspapers primarily focus on providing up-to-date news and current affairs. Coverage. They cover a wide range of topics including politics, economics, sports, local events and international news. Newspapers also include sections for opinion, editorials, business, lifestyles, entertainment and classified advertisements. Magazines, on the other hand, often have a more specialized focus. They cover specific topics or interest in depth such as fashion, health, travel, technology or hobbies. Magazines may feature longer feature articles, interviews and more in-depth analysis compared to newspapers. The format. Newspapers are typically printed on large sheets of newsprint and folded into a compact format. They are designed to be easily readable and portable. Magazines are different. Newspapers use columns and headlines to present information in a concise and organized manner. Magazines, on the other hand, come in various sizes and formats. They often have glossy paper, more elaborate layouts, and visually appealing designs. Magazine can be a tabloid, standard, or oversized format depending on the publication. Frequency. Newspapers are generally published on a daily or weekly basis. Daily newspapers provide news updates on a daily basis, while weekly newspapers are published once a week, typically covering events and news from the previous week. Meetings, on the other hand, are usually published on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, although some may have a weekly or quarterly frequency. The less frequency publication schedule of magazines allows for more in-depth and comprehensive articles. Target audience. Newspapers aim to reach a broad and diverse audience. They cater to a wide range of readers, including individuals interested in current events, politics, business, sports, and local news. Magazines, on the other hand, target specific interest groups or niches. They are tailored to appeal to readers with particular hobbies, lifestyles, or passions. Magazines may have a more specialized readership, such as fashion enthusiasts, fitness enthusiasts, or technology enthusiasts. Advertising. Both newspaper and magazine rely on advertising as a source of revenue. However, the nature of advertising differs between the two. Newspapers often have classified ads, display ads, and inserts from a wide range of businesses. They may also carry public notices and legal advertisements. Magazines typically have more targeted and visually appealing advertisements that align with their specific content. Advertisements in magazines often complement the magazine's overall aesthetic and target the specific interests of their readers. It's important to note that these differences are not absolute and there can be overlap between newspaper and magazines in certain aspects. Some publications may blur the lines between the two formats by incorporating elements of both news and features. Additionally, the advent of digital media has led to the convergence of newspaper and magazines in online formats, where the distinctions between the two are sometimes less pronounced. Unique insights into the difference between a newspaper and a magazine. While the table above provides a clear picture of the differences between newspaper and magazine, there are some subtle distinctions that can only be understood by a deeper analysis. For instance, the difference in the writing styles or the way advertisements are designed and placed can speak volume about the target audience and the goals of the publication. Newspapers, being more news-centric and factual, are often more text-dense and carry a formal tone. On the other hand, magazines with their focus on specific topics have the liberty to explain creative narratives, thereby providing a more intense reading experience. The distribution mechanism of newspaper and magazines differs significantly, which often impacts how the content is perceived by the readers. Newspapers are generally available at a wide range of outlets such as newsstands, grocery stores, and through home delivery. Newspapers often depend on a daily or weekly delivery schedule. Digital platforms have gained prominence in recent years, leading to the advent of e-newspaper. Magazines are typically found in bookstores, newsstands, and supermarkets. Many magazines offer subscription services both in print and digital formats, delivered weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Specialized magazines may not be as widely available and may rely more heavily on subscriptions or special outlets related to their content, such as tech stores or for technology magazines. While both newspapers and magazines have evolved to offer digital versions, the physical distribution remains a key element that distinguishes one from the other. The way advertising is integrated into newspaper and magazine differs greatly due to their distinct structures, audiences, and purposes. Advertisements in newspaper tend to be text heavy and less colorful due to the quality of the newsprint. Positioning of advertisement is often less predictable. It is interspersed with news articles. Newspaper advertising is dealing for reaching a local audience as most newspapers have a significant local or regional leadership. Magazine advertisements are usually visually appealing, making extensive use of colors, high resolution images due to the higher quality paper. Magazines often have a dedicated section for advertisements, making it less intrusive. Magazines, due to their specialized focus, can target a specific demographic, making the advertising more than niche and effective. That is all for today's class. Thank you.